One of the most indirect ways the party implements its control is the evolved, modernized, abbreviated version of the English language, newspeak. The newspeak language consists of words that are shortened words fused with other words in order to form phrases that are similar to compound words in the English language. As described on page 300 of 1984, it was intended that when newspeak had been adopted once and for all, old speak forgotten, a radical thought should be literally unthinkable, at least so far as thought is dependent on words. Its vocabulary was so constructed as to give an exact and often very subtle expression to every meaning that a party member could properly wish to express, while excluding all other meanings and also the possibility of arriving them by indirect methods. As described by an article written by the National Institute for Biotechnology and Information, languages, like genes, are also documents of history. Currently, over 7,000 languages are spoken, and each one containing vocabulary of tens of thousands of words. Until anatomically modern humans, about 100,000 years ago, the shape of hominid vocal tracts didn't permit the modern range of speech sounds, but that doesn't mean language necessarily began then. Earlier hominids could have had sort of a language that used a more restricted range of consonants and vowels, and the changes in the vocal tract may have only had the effect of making speech faster and more expressive. Though there is no scientific consensus of exactly where or when the earliest languages began to develop, it is known that it began somewhere in the current-day Africa. From there, language spread across the globe, and different areas of the world began speaking different languages. Old English began commonly being used around 5th century BC, and Middle English commonly around 12th century, and Modern English commonly around the 16th century. Modern-day English can't really be traced to a date, as it is constantly evolving with culture. For instance, the word selfie was used first in 2002, when an Australian man had said, "I had a hole about 1 centimeter long through the bottom of my lip." And sorry about the focus, it was a selfie, but was driven to popularity in 2013 when people started saying it and using it commonly. In 2018, because of the popularity of the word and how much it is spread by social media and society, nearly everyone knows what it means. But this isn't just for one words. There are literally hundreds of words like selfie. Here are a few. A lot of words, phrases, and terms today have evolved and didn't exist 100 years ago. Newspeak relates to modern English because they're both similar in a lot of ways. A factor that led to the implementation of Newspeak in 1984 was the fact that language is evolving and was going to continue to evolve. Since language evolved, and there is no way to know what words are going to be said in the future, or we'll use Newspeak as somewhat of a supplement to cover the evolution of the language problem. If we didn't use Newspeak, then you would have to take a whole nother vocabulary of slang and words and implement them into culture and society to make up for language evolving in the future. Newspeak not only serves as an example of language evolving over time, but also fits in with the government controlling using indirect methods like speech. Unlike Newspeak, modern language and slang isn't enforced by government at all, but is still pretty necessary to get around. A good example of this that demonstrates that it is necessary to get around would be if someone from 100 years ago, such as Albert Einstein, were to teleport to 2018, they really wouldn't be able to get around much. For instance, if they were in Chicago and someone said the word metro, they wouldn't really have an idea what that meant. That could mean a whole number of things coming from their time, but in modern language, it probably means something similar to a subway. In this way, both Newspeak words and modern language are used in everyday speech in society in both 1984 and real life that they are necessary to culture and to get around. As the English language develops, words are becoming shorter and abbreviated and more acronyms are popping up. A great example of this is developing and will continue to develop is text messaging. Even the phrase text messaging has been commonly used and said as text. Abbreviations within text messages are common, as well as acronyms. Some very common examples that appear frequently are LOL, OMG, BRB, GTG, SMH, LMK, and IRL, and there are a lot more too. Not only are there abbreviations, but there are also alphanumerical phrases and acronyms. For instance, tonight can be shortened to to-night, tomorrow can be shortened to to-morrow, and great to great, and more. These all tie back to Orwell's Newspeak words. Abbreviations that are used in 1984, like the quote being shown, the words such as BB and refs are similar to that of texting, just written 70 years apart. Orwell, in a way, predicted the future in language evolution. As English, slang, and text language continue to evolve, words will become more shortened and abbreviated, kind of like Newspeak. Newspeak's role in 1984 was to eventually replace Oldspeak and have everyone read, write, and even think in Newspeak. The English language is on the path of becoming a less enforced language similar to Newspeak. Although slang and abbreviations are generally accepted by the public at the moment, language will probably become a political issue at some point in the future, and not all people will accept it. Even though language in the US isn't really enforced by the government, it is so commonly widespread that you have to be able to understand words that are new and popular if you want to be able to get around in society. There aren't really any solutions for language evolving and new words, because at the moment it isn't really a problem and it probably will never be. However, if it ever does become a problem, then it'll be very widespread and protested, but language will never really be enforced by the government. The main problem will become that some people will accept the new modernized, abbreviated acronym language as their language of thought and speech, while others will still want to use Old English, which is what we use today, unabbreviated terms and words. The simplest, easiest solution to this problem would be for the government to accept both languages or forms of language and make both languages nationwide and national languages. Public services such as stores would have to be able to speak and understand both forms of English. However, it is highly doubted that the evolution of language will ever become really a political problem. Thanks for your time and watching. I hope I got minds running and thinking.